It's hard to keep up with healthcare. It's affected by newfangled technology and old-fashioned politics, as well as mergers, acquisitions, and demographics. Here to help us make sense of this complex sector, we have Morningstar Senior Equities Analyst Tim Montague-Jones. Tim, welcome.
Hi, Vicki.
Tim, let's cut to the chase. Why invest in healthcare?
Health is a necessity, so we scrimp, save, borrow to ensure that we pay for healthy living. And that means the revenues are very stable and the earnings also are relatively stable. And for that reason, healthcare companies can borrow more money than typical companies, and their share prices tend to not go up as fast as the market, and they tend not to go down as fast as the market. And for that reason, they're kind of referred to as defensive or low beta stocks.
Tim, in your latest report, you mentioned demographics. I know this is a constantly changing factor. At the moment, are the demographics in Australia encouraging or discouraging?
The demographics in Australia, or also around the Western world, we've had the baby boomers, and they're coming up to retirement age, or retiring. We're also living longer, so the proportion of people over the age of 65 is growing. At the moment, I believe it's around 13% of the population, and some forecasts estimate it to reach levels of around 28% by 2050. So there's going to be a crying out demand for greater care, for healthcare, general healthcare across the board, from diagnostics to private hospitals, to blood plasma, to cochlear implants, you name it, across the board.
Tim, did you say 28% of the population by the year 2050?
That's one estimate that I've read. I mean, there's a lot of data out there which reaffirms the point, but basically the population's getting older and demand for healthcare. And you can see that now. Like, there's a managing director of HealthScope made the comment recently saying that we've all been aware of the aging population, but it's only recently that he's actually noticing demand for healthcare from that old population only really beginning to materialise. So he's seeing attendances in his hospitals beginning to really start to increase. So it's all becoming quite tangible.
Tim, you mentioned earlier that, we scrimp and save to provide the best health care for ourselves and our loved ones. But here in Australia, why do we need to do that? What about the public health care system?
Over the last decade, the Liberal government has failed to invest enough capital into expanding the infrastructure required for the ageing population. Right now, if you walk into a public hospital, you'll see that there's a lot of bureaucracy. Form and process is held to a higher regard than customer care. The system, there's a lot of press coverage. The system is in a complete strain at the moment. And if you walk over the road into the private system, it's like walking into a 4 or 5 star hotel. I mean, the difference is phenomenal. And I think a lot of people appreciate that. And that's why they're prepared to pay the extra money to have private medical insurance.
Let's look at non-hospital companies in Australia's healthcare sector. You mentioned in your report that they're active offshore. Is this a good thing or a bad thing, and why?
CSL is a company we do like. We believe that the FTC's decision really kind of reinforces our view that CSL has a very strong market presence in the IVIG market. And if it had purchased Telecris, that it would have had a significant ability to maybe manipulate the price of IVIG. And we prefer to own companies which have very strong market positions, which CSL does.
IVIG, can you tell us a bit more about that? Is it a high margin or a low margin product? Is it high growth or low growth?
IVIG is the antibodies in your blood that is fractionated from blood plasma and is used to treat autoimmune disorders. It's also being used to treat a variety of off-label products, off-label diseases, ailments, such as Alzheimer's. Well, blood plasma products, there was a bit of a glut of plasma in 2004, which saw a considerable consolidation within the market. And CSL was generating EBIT margins around 5% from its blood plasma division. Since then, and the consolidation of the market has controlled supply and possibly constricted some of the supply of product, which has seen the price of products increase generally across the board, and now it generates margins of around 30%. And we think potentially that those margins could increase in the next couple of years too.
Tim, you've covered a very complex subject today. What can retail investors take away from this?
I think the important thing just to remember is that you think about the aging population and the demographic change that's occurring, and that's going to drive the underlying demand of the whole industry. And when there's so much uncertainty about demand coming through from the economy, I think it's worth investing in that demand through healthcare companies.
Thank you for your time today.
Okay, thank you.